Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest of the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to Apply. All right, so today is a very special episode. We're doing our monthly segment with Alex Kangun, who's our co-host, and also with Athena Solutions sponsoring. So thank you for that, Alex, as always. And our guest today by Alex, as you're aware, he does this once a month. He brings on a guest, the CIO specifically, from different companies and different industries that he feels are interesting and have something to offer. So we're going to get into today's CIO. His name is Bharninder Khurana. He's CIO over at Patriot Growth Insurance Services. First off, Alex, welcome back to the show. Great to have you co-hosting today. And Bharninder, man, good to meet you.
Good to meet you as well. Thank you for having me.
All right, Alex. So you know how we like to start these. So you curate the guests. You're the one who you're out there saying, hey, who's got something to offer? Who's going to bring something to the audience? And your guest today, Bharninder. So tell me a little bit more about what went into this decision.
So thank you for having me again. Typically, I like to bring technical people, CIO level, who think for business, who has ability to look from their higher levels than just technology. And Bharninder sharing the same philosophy, moving from the typical back, like where's the technology just on the back, moving forward where it can work closely with the business, where they're especially in AI age and they're in insurance business where a lot of mundane things can be automated, but all the interesting stuff where people can focus on what they're doing the best. And I think it's Bharninder will bring very interesting, I could say like very unique perspective to this discussion.
Yeah. So Bharninder, maybe just to get us kicked off here, tell us a little bit more about Patriot and what you do, please.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me again. My name is Bharninder. I am the CIO at Patriot Growth Insurance Services. We're a retail brokerage. So we have, over the last 4+ years, we've acquired several agencies across the country. So we have presence across the country as well. And we are the retail brokerage for that now have the book of business, and we still have all of these agencies work and grow their book. I'm part of what's called the AGT Agency Growth Team, which our mission, our job is to help all of these agencies grow their book.
How'd you get into this business originally, specifically tech, like CIO? Take me a little bit back on the path of what it took to get here for you.
Well, look, I'm an engineer by training and an operator by experience. I spent 2 decades. I've worked across multiple industries. I've worked across finance, media, did a little detour into e-discovery, got into the insurance space accidentally, to be honest with you. Going back 15 years or so, I never thought I would be in the insurance industry. In fact, I won't name names, but once I went in for an interview at a very large carrier, and I was walking through the office, it was really dead. And now imagine like me, I'm coming from companies like CNBC and others that are high energy, let's go. Walking through an office, there's no energy in the office. And in that moment, I swore to myself, I'd never work for an insurance company. I'll fast forward,
That's how life works,
years.
Right, Al?
Yes. Fast forward a few years. I got a call from someone. I had just joined Coldwell Banker, and I thought this was it. I'm going to stay here. This is going to be great. Real estate. My wife's always been in real estate, so this was a natural, symbiotic relationship in that sense. But I'd worked with somebody back at JP Morgan and got a call, said, hey, you got to come talk to these guys. This was at ProSite. And I declined. I said, well, it's two things I don't want to do. I don't want to become a director of PMO, and I don't want to work for insurance. And those were the 2 things that were coming together in that role. But she convinced me, and I did go in. And when I saw that the insurance industry was going through a revolutionary transformation, that's what really intrigued. Because the media industry was always on the cutting edge of technology, but the insurance industry had just started to catch up, and especially in the carrier space. So that's what was really interesting to me. And I took the plunge, and here I am.
Got it. I don't know if the network is slow. If I can jump in, this is exactly, Adam, what I was looking. I'm looking people with a passion. We're like with the energy that we like what you do, or we hate what we're doing sometimes, but it's this is a passion that we're looking for.
So I like how we make these plans. I'll tell you, I never planned on being in media, Barninder. I was like, yeah, that's not, I would never, like, I'll be in front of camera, do all this like that. I come from the finance background. So I don't know. It's just funny how the world, whatever you want to say, God, karma, like however it all works together. And these things happen that we're like, well, there was another plan, obviously. So take us present day and about your work today and like what you can share. Like talk to us a little bit more about that.
So present day, I think what's working across industries and working across different paradigms of that industry, infrastructure, security, application, data, AI, enterprise transformation, what's become clear to me is that technology is rarely the hardest part of transformation. The real challenge here is aligning people, incentives, trust, execution, so that technology actually changes how the business operates. That's really where I've spent my career and where most of my thinking is focused today.
You mentioned Renaissance. You used the word Renaissance in this insurance industry. Like, what are you seeing? And it doesn't have to be just within your walls, but I don't live my day to day in insurance. So I'm just curious when you use that word or when you think about that, like what's going on in the industry overall?
I don't know if I use that word.
Oh, you might have said something else. What was it? It was what drew you to the industry. It might have been something else. What was it?
Oh, the revolutionary transformation.
That's what it was. Revolutionary transformation, not Renaissance. Go ahead. You're right. That's the one. What makes it so transformative right now? Because normally you don't always hear those words used towards insurance. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, and look, I'll just share my personal perspective on this, right? When you're working in other industries, media specifically, you have to be on the forefront of technology. You have to be innovative. Insurance doesn't have to be innovative, right? Insurance is, this is the old adage, right? We're a people business, we're a relationship business, and when you want to sell insurance, you need to know who you're selling it to, et cetera, right? So that's the paradigm. But the transformation is, how do you preserve that part, but then modernize everything behind it? So that could be technology, that could be processes, that could be integrations, that could be data. So that revolutionary transformation, when I stepped into the insurance industry, the carrier that I started with, that they were about to go through that transformation, or they were somewhat mid-journey in that transformation. And at that time, we were talking about, well, how do we, and frankly, this one question really sold me on it. How do we bring the product in front of the customer directly? Because it always goes through different people, and people know people, and then the information travels. But if we can bring that information directly in front of the customer or faster in front of the customer, now you're short-circuiting that life cycle that it takes to bring an insurance policy or a sale for the company as well as for our prospects. And that really was a question that for the personal lines had been solved, but in the commercial space, it had not been solved yet. And we set out to start solving that question. So that was the revolutionary transformation that I'm talking about. Now to solve that, it's not just one part of the puzzle. If you think about it, different pieces of the puzzle, it's not just one piece of the puzzle. It is, you have to think bottom up and top down. You have to think about, is your infrastructure available to solve that problem? Are the applications architected in a way that can solve that problem? Are the processes built in a way that can solve that problem? Are the people layered on top of it in a way that can solve that problem? So all of these are the building blocks or pieces of the puzzle that have to come together. And what does that actually require? Even the technologists to think differently. Because the technologists or the engineers have to think differently. The engineers can no longer just say, give me the technical problem. They actually have to think business first. And that's a transformation
Yeah.
all the way through the entire ecosystem.
What are you seeing, Alex? Like, Alex, have you done much work in this industry specific? I'm curious from your end, Alex.
Yeah,
What?
so we do. We have multiple clients, and we probably can spend another couple hours talking about insurance fraud, for automation there. But I want to kind of resonance what Barinder is saying about the looking at the top, bottom up and top down, because from every problem you do need to understand what the problem and what's behind it, kind of like and it's not necessarily at the same time, but there are some sequence. You need to understand what information is coming, what information, and what the business problem is solving. I also want to compliment.
Yeah.
I have not heard it. Go ahead, Bernard.
Oh, I was just going to add to what you're saying. I would put it this way, right? A technically correct strategy still has to survive the organization into which it is introduced.
Yeah.
So you're right. And another, what I also want to compliment in terms of for the technical team, they have to lead with a business question. I recently give preference to the technical candidate who will be doing like pure development because she has MBA. And I was thinking, MBA person with MBA have to better understand business. And at least if technical person went through the business school, she's inspired to understand the business. So there's really what you're saying, Marina, like technical team need to ask business question. Why, what, be curious, not just like, okay, I'll do this, like data. So I'm very excited about what you're saying, Marina.
Yeah, no, it's no longer a give me a ticket, give me, there's a little bit of that, right? There's a little bit of, yes, I need detailed requirements and all of that. But honestly, all of that entire life cycle is now being short-circuited through AI, right? And more, if you don't understand the business context, the less valuable you start to become. And that, in my opinion, in the next 5-ish years, that's the trend that's going to continue to accelerate.
Can you go a little bit further into that? And that's where actually I wanted to go with this next is how AI specifically is affecting some of your industry. And I think you already answered part of it, which is basically now it's no longer just for just getting something done, like the engineer side of things. But if you don't understand the business context and how everything interplays with each other, then maybe those skills aren't quite as valuable as they once were. I don't want to say it exactly like that, but it's just changing. What would you say? Like, what are you seeing happen with AI just overall in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you think about a typical, I'll say, product development life cycle, product development life cycle starts with here's a problem, then it gets into I need to define this problem better. Then you get into I need to define the requirements, and obviously there's approvals and all of that along the way, and we'll keep that aside for a second. And then you get into I have all the detailed requirements. Now I have to go to an architect. And I have to go to a designer, right? If you're building any product with any UI, and they need to collaborate, they need to come up with a design, they need to then continuously flesh out these requirements over a period of time. They have to come up with the designs. The designs have to be, go from wireframes to high-res designs. Then it gets into okay, now we have the definition of what we're trying to build. Now break that down into tickets and epics if you're using Scrum, and engineers get involved and they start building, then there's testing and there's deployments and all of that, right? It's a fairly hefty product development lifecycle, and system development lifecycle is a subset of that. Well, now that entire process gets short-circuited. You can go to Claude today and use Fable or one of the models and say, just an idea. This is what I want to build. Go do research, build everything for me, get it ready. And it will design everything for you. It will architect everything for you. You don't even need to write any requirements anymore. And then you can build testing agents that can test everything for you. And once you have this ecosystem built, you can pretty much feed any problem through and it will start solving that problem. that what used to take months and whole teams can now be short-circuited by a handful of people, even sometimes a single person, and you can have, and I'll stay shy of saying production grade product, because that's a whole different paradigm, but you have enough that you can actually test. You can test your concepts, you can test your initial MVP, you can test your designs, you can have rapid prototyping. That entire process is now short-circuited. And that is absolutely fascinating as we have entered this new stage of AI adoption.
Alex, anything you want to comment on this? Just what's going on in AI and what you're seeing?
Yeah, so Barinder, you covered one part. The way I see it in insurance, there are like in AI insurance, like two parts. One is that improving automation for the product development, for proposal review, renewals, automating. But also I see another part where it's really like fraud detection, in AI. Can you comment about the second part where AI finding problem with the overall process, not just data, and flagging it?
Yeah, I mean, you can build custom agents that can detect problems based on your needs and not only flag them, but if you have a multi-agent model, you can have one agent talk to the other agent and have it fix it. It's fun to build, to be honest with you, and I play around with it myself just for my own edification. But as we mature this technology, and I wouldn't say mature because the maturity will come, but really harness the technology, I think is probably the better word, and put it to the right use. Because if you build a fully autonomous system, you still have challenges with security issues, with injection issues, with prompt issues. So you don't want to necessarily build, at least not right now, a fully autonomous ecosystem, but we're getting closer and closer to it because all of these different steps, you can now build individual agents that all talk to each other. And then you have to decide from a process standpoint where you want the human, and do you want human in the middle or do you want human in the loop? Because those are slightly different concepts.
Interesting. How are you using this to build, Alex? I'm curious in your standpoint too.
So it's what Brian is saying. It's really like starting with the concept. Where do you want it, and how much how much trust you have in your solution. I have like some anecdotal example where our AI models were saying, yes, this is a fraud, for life insurance claim. When professionals say, no, it can't be fraud because I know this guy, this is what he does, this is how he's selling his policy, and we checked, and the model was wrong. But I don't want to dwell. The model was right 1,000 times, but where this one time where it's wrong, to what extent to catch it. So it's interesting. I have a question also to Barinder. Ask, what's keep you awake at night? To make it softly, what's your worry?
Well, I mean, I would say if I were to nail it down to one thing, it's not whether technology will evolve, because it always does. It's whether we're building the organizational capabilities to take advantage of it before our competitors do. Because everybody's in this race. And so AI is moving incredibly fast, as you all know. So technology isn't my biggest concern, right? It's whether we're redesigning our business, our operating model, our workforce, and is it happening quick enough? At the end of the day, organizations don't lose because they picked the wrong AI model, because that's 6 to 1, half a dozen to another. They'll lose because they couldn't translate the opportunity into change behavior and business value.
It's interesting to me to see how, I look at what some of the things that are happening in Silicon Valley and some of the startups and other things I hear, and how other industries are being disrupted through AI and just the workflow. So I'm curious on this end, how maybe some companies, and I don't know as much about Patriot, like the size, things like that, you don't have to get into any of that, but how some of the newer startups or other startups are, coming and creating new things that some are going to last and some aren't. And I'm curious from the insurance side of things. You said and I saw, I'm not saying this is a one for one example, but like I'll take Dan Gilbert, for example. So once upon a time, they never thought that was a very traditional industry. So Quicken Loans is what we mostly know it as. So mortgages started as Rock Financial. You go further back and that was Rock Financial days. And their aim and their goal once upon a time was how do we get people to buy mortgages without any human involvement, right? Like just by taking an application. And they thought that they were, he thought it was crazy once upon a time to say that. Like this is still at a time when people weren't comfortable with using their credit cards to make online purchases, but yet he's talking about doing a mortgages, online. So in insurance, that was the holy grail. Like how do you get it to where you can just do the entire life cycle and do a mortgage? So insurance, would it be fair to say that like kind of the holy grail or one of the most interesting things in the future will be when somebody can go on, buy all their insurance, do everything else, and really not have much, if any, human involvement, unless they need customer service or things like that. Is that where you see, and this might be too broad of a question, but is that where you see the industry going? Is that kind of like the holy grail one day?
If I stretch out the timeline over
that last timeline for what I talked about, that took like 20 something years without AI.
Yeah,
you're dating yourself, Adam. So you're like Quicken Rock.
I'm okay with that. Yeah. I'm okay. I love it. For the record, that was my first job out of college. That's why I know it so well. But go ahead.
Yeah.
So Barninder, is the point, or is like one of the holy grails for insurance in the future to be that there's maybe no human involvement and that the entire process is done online, like something like a Quicken Loans or a Rocket Mortgage is what I think they call it now?
Yeah, I mean, look, insurance is traditionally a relationship-driven business, but it is also information-driven industry.
Yeah.
So with AI, it has the potential to fundamentally change how producers sell, how service teams operate, how underwriting decisions are supported, how customers are served. So it's really, will we get there in parts of insurance where, you on the personal lines, you really don't need a whole lot of human involvement because you can just go online and buy things, buy insurance. But on the larger P&C and EB, there will still be some of that relationship-driven selling of insurance that will continue to happen. It's really, where does AI help in transforming the industry? I see that on the support side. We can provide better data to our support teams. They can be better equipped with information to be able to answer questions. We can open our call centers 24/7 by fronting it with agents that are AI enabled. So all of those things can be built out. And that's where I see really that next iteration of where the insurance industry is going.
It's awesome. Alex, any last minute words from you or questions or anything on your end?
No, I guess right now, Barninder, right now, Barninder, you're not bored, right, with insurance company?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, I have really enjoyed my journey through the industry. I've worked with carriers. I've worked with, MGA. I've working with retail brokerage. So I see the acceleration of that industry happening through the lens of technology enablement. And that's what's exciting for me. And I actually think right now, insurance is one of the most fascinating industries to be in.
I can detail this from my experience. When the predictive modeling AI start popping up, the insurance kind of like was natural choice for it because of the model, because the mathematics behind it, because of calculation. But it also brings the challenges. First, it's leading into challenging in terms of privacy, in terms of accuracy of the data pollution, etc., etc. So it's exciting place to be.
Awesome. I'll give you the final word, Barninder. If somebody wants to follow up, they want to learn more about Patriot, follow your work, follow you on social media, or otherwise, how do they do that?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn and, get in touch there. Love to have chat with, fellow leaders, exchange ideas. As we all said, AI is truly revolutionizing where we're going. And the best thing we can do is share ideas and knowledge that we all have.
Awesome. And Alex, if somebody wants to learn more about Athena Solutions, how do they do that?
Same LinkedIn, problem was common. Website, I post it regular when I'm presenting on the conference. So if I'm in your city, we can meet there. So happy to network as well.
Awesome. Fantastic. And for everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes so that you can connect with Barninder and also with Alex. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. You heard me correct. Each and every day, we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So hit that subscribe or follow button. And Alex, Barninder, thanks so much for coming on. It's been an absolute blast.
Thank you.